Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel. My name is Courtney and this is Courtney After Dark, and today I am talking about a movie that I did not think I was going to enjoy. I'm going to kind of rush through this movie also because it is hotter than balls right now. It is 113 degrees out and we're not even at the height of summer, and just sitting in front of the window, I don't even have the blinds open right now because I cannot fathom like letting the light in right now. I just filmed another video where I did have the blinds open and I am just sweating my ass off. My armpits are fountains right now. So we're just gonna get through this so that I can just go take my bra off, sit in front of a fan, and put an ice pack in my lap or something. But today I'm talking about Bambi, or more accurately, Bambi the Reckoning. So this is a movie that came out in 2025, and I had no idea what to expect going into it. I knew that it was like a horror movie based on Bambi. I saw one trailer before it came out, and that's about it. So we're just gonna get into it. So we open with this animated prologue, basically retelling the story of Bambi losing his mother to a hunter and then growing up all alone in the woods. And it's actually oddly beautiful. Like, the animation was actually really pretty. But in this version, he finds himself a girlfriend after he grows up, has a child, and his family dies because humans continue to encroach on natural territory. After losing his family, the very depressed Bambi, he is having himself a drink from a once clear river, but now it's flowing with toxic waste from humans, which in turn begins to mutate him. So after the animation is done, we get a very brief look at these three hunters that are roaming these very eerie woods at night, and then we're introduced to Xana and Benji, completely unrelated to the hunters at the moment. Xana is in a heated conversation with a man on the phone while her son Benji looks to be sort of dissociating with this little video game, and I was sensing a little bit of like a tense marriage situation or something like that. The mother also points out that playing video games in the car will make Benji sick, but he does not listen to her. He just ignores her and keeps doing what he's doing. So the two are in a cab at night going through these really creepy woods. The cab driver has to swerve at some point to avoid another car and says something about people doing some sketchy shit in the woods, and we don't really find out about what that means until later, but it's, you know, a little bit of foreshadowing. And then of course the kid needs to throw up because he was playing video games in the car exactly like his mom said not to. So they stop for a bit in these very creepy woods. If I was that driver, I would have told that kid to hang his head out the window and just get it over with. But when they move on, the driver again is not exactly watching where he's going and hits a giant mutant buck in the road. And this buck just rams his head right into the car and flips it clean over before just going to town on the car and crushing the driver under his giant deer hooves. While this is happening, Benji and Mom crawl out of the overturned car and they turn back to get their first real glimpse of Bambi standing on the car, backlit by moonlight. And I gotta say, he looked pretty freaking awesome. Like this shot of him, like this reveal, it was. Now we're in this house on the edge of the creepy woods, and this old woman is just staring out into the night. So she is brought back inside, and then she kind of sits down and just starts sifting through like these pictures or paintings of a very creepy looking deer. Then Benji and Xana show up, clearly having been in some kind of a situation, and this woman who brought the older woman inside, Harriet, just taps her wrist like, you're late. Like, did you not see the blood on, what? So apparently this is Grandma's house, the original destination that these two, Xana and Benji, were heading to before they got flipped over by a giant deer. Side note, the other grandchild in this house is like the most disrespectful little shit, just like throwing pillows at Grandma while she's trying to draw pictures of Bambi. I would not stand for that. That child would be getting so many spankings. So at this point, one of the men decides to go and check things out after Xana explains what happened. However, our hunters are a bit on edge, and when they hear something in the woods coming towards this crash, because they end up finding the car crash as well, one of them just fires his rifle and kills him. He just like fires it blindly and it just happens to hit him. So they're in a bit of a pickle now because they just killed some random dude. Back in Grandma's house, there is a whole lot of deer stuff. There's a creepy deer head on the wall, a strange scribble of a deer, and Grandma's just sketching more pictures and begins to mumble some strange things that Benji is oddly intrigued by. But it's clear that she has dementia or something, so no one really takes her seriously. except Benji, who got a pretty good look of Bambi when he was standing on top of that car, and he starts flipping through the sketches while Grandma goes and like stands by the window just like watching the yard. The motion light starts like going on and off, like something is out there but you can't see it. So Benji goes up to Grandma, and outside, just as the motion light turns off, is a great big figure in the dark. It just runs at the house and just rams through the doors, and they all run for it. Like everybody just scatters. In the kitchen, however, are the other three people in the house, and when they see a giant buck creep out of the dark, they panic. Harriet traps herself in a bathroom, but Bambi, unfortunately for her, can open doors. So he grinds his way into the bathroom as she escapes through this like little window, because he's huge and his antlers are just like ripping things up and like making it really hard for him to maneuver through like hallways and stuff. So she gets away. Meanwhile, the others have made it to a camper, which won't start, obviously, and they see Harriet just booking it around the corner of the house with a giant buck running after her, and they like, honestly, this scene was kind of cool. They witnessed him just sort of slice her clean in half with his antlers. I don't know how that works, but his antlers can do that. They finally get the car started, but Bambi is a mutation and he just sprints after them, no problem. And he's just ramming his head against the back of this camper. Harrison, who is the older boy that was disrespecting Grandma, gets his bright idea to sort of like hang himself out the window and start throwing small objects at Bambi, which just prompts Bambi to speed up because the disrespect, honestly. Harrison is not the brightest crayon in the box, on top of being very disrespectful toward Grandma. So this kid doesn't really have any redeeming qualities. Back at the house, the three hunters show up because I guess they're tracking something, and they start searching the place. They find one of Grandma's creepy paintings of the deer and refer to it as the creature. Then they find Harriet's body outside. She is somehow not dead despite being cut in half in her, like at her midsection. And one of the men asks if he should just shoot her and get it over with, and another says, "Nah, I got this," and decides to kill her very slowly with a knife, so not getting the best vibes from that one. The camper now has to stop because there is a giant tree in the road, and while everyone is trying to figure a way around it, Benji is alone in the camper with Grandma, who starts talking about some guy named Simon. Xana then just gets in the car, and Benji is just chilling in the driver's seat talking to her when they see Bambi on the road, and she just tells him drive. He does, but Andrew and Harrison are still outside with a rope to move the tree, and when Benji just like takes off, the rope wraps around Andrew's leg and just like drags him along behind this camper for who knows how long. Harrison is left all alone and has to make a run for it when Bambi returns. He eventually falls, face planting into a pile of shit, literally, and standing behind him is Bambi, just sort of drawing out this kid's demise, I suppose, because Bambi's a little sadistic. But as he's about to chomp on his head, he hears something in the woods and just runs off. Don't know why you couldn't just chomp on his head and then go run in the woods, but whatever. The camper is now stopped, but now the car won't start again, and this is when Xana realizes, hey, there's an Andrew attached to this car. Or there was. Now he's just mulch on a rope, basically. Like, most of him is on the road back there. And also, Grandma has disappeared and is now walking her old ass into the woods, so they run after her. Harrison, covered in poo, is walking around trying to get cell reception, and he hears something. That something turns out to be a cute little bunny that walks up to him, all adorable, and he kicks it. He kicks it across the woods. At this point, I was ready for this kid to just get his head chomped, really. I mean, I was ready for him to get his head chomped the moment he disrespected Grandma, but disrespect a bunny? Are you kidding me? But now, more bunnies start showing up, and one of them looks like a mutaty little Bambi bunny, and they start herding him backwards until he trips, and his head falls right into a bear trap. And now that he's trapped, the bunnies start eating him alive, as bunnies do, which I was completely fine with. And this whole thing is also caught on one of those like trail cams, so that's fun. Now we're back with Benji and Xana trying to follow crazy Grandma into the dark woods. Grandma ends up stopping, at which point Benji decides to light up a flare that he found in the camper, and we see what is essentially like a nest. There are lots of bodies and bones just sort of like scattered around, and they all like, shut up. when they realize exactly where they are. They're like in Bambi's little dumping ground or something. They hear like a little growl and they look off into the dark where Bambi is just standing like a tree looking at them before he just charges right at them. They run, making it to the road where they see one of the hunters in a car and they hitch a ride. The hunter though, he's giving off weird vibes. Obviously, this is the guy that like slowly killed Harriet's half body, but they don't know that, and he promises they'll be safe, but I'm just getting that like we're not safe vibe. And I just want to really quick point out that throughout the movie, birds are just like kind of falling from the sky in random moments. That's a thing. So they get to where they're going and immediately Dad shows up. You know, the one Xana was on the phone with, being all upset that he didn't show up in the first place. So this is Benji's father. Yeah, and when Benji goes to hug him, he looks entirely confused and not too happy to see them at all. So in this creepy house, there are animal heads like hung all over the walls, as you would expect from creepy hunters. In the kitchen, Xana and Dad, aka Simon, are arguing. So now we know who Grandma was talking about when she kept spouting nonsense about Simon. Simon is also arguing that they don't go to the police, despite everything that Xana has told him about people dying and what's happening. Benji overhears, and like all kids who don't like hearing their parents argue, he steps outside where he sees the other two hunters hauling a cage with a baby deer in it. Xana is off on a mission of her own at this point, trying to get her hands on a phone, but sadistic hunter guy isn't having it. She sort of like finds her way to this control room and she gets a glimpse of a bunch of like photos of mutated animals, each thing saying spotted or eliminated, and she finds out that they are trying to lure Bambi into this compound. And of course she thinks that's crazy talk because she literally saw this thing cut her friend in half. I don't know if they're friends, but whatever. She saw it cut this woman in half and chase their camper through the woods. Simon says, "Oh, we're safe here," except now they realize Benji isn't in the house anymore. He's on his kid adventure, following those two hunters wherever they took this baby deer, and they are just taunting and being total assholes to this poor thing and clearly trying to lure the buck Jurassic Park style, but we all know how that went. And like any expendable character, one of the hunters decides to go and take a potty break, and well, as soon as he gets suspicions and pulls out his walkie, Bambi does a flyby beheading. I mean literally, like he just runs by and just chops his head off with his razor antlers. Hunter number 3 is now looking for his buddy who went on a little potty break and never returned, and he finds his headless body and for some reason retches, even though it's like the 4th mutilated body he's seen just on this one night. And Benji, being the good soul of this movie, sneaks over to free this baby deer while this other hunter is distracted. But in the control room, he is caught on the trail cams, so now sadistic hunter is on that shit. Hunter number 3 bails when he realizes Bambi is a foot, or a hoof, and makes it to a car, but we all know at this point that a car does not stop Bambi. He opens the door and just starts chomping his legs, and he gets him out of the car and then chomps his head. So he has been chomped thoroughly by Bambi. He has been chomped completely. Xana now is calling out for Benji, and he's calling out for her, while sadistic hunter man is hunting them down, as you do when you're a sadistic hunter man. Back at the cabin, Bambi is making his way inside. Mary is on the sofa. Mary is Grandma, by the way. Mary is on the sofa and comes face to face with him, and he nearly chomps her, but then Joe, the control room lady, makes a noise and he gets distracted, which is something Bambi does. He gets very distracted. He is just like tearing down doors trying to get to her, and she gets the brilliant idea to shoot these like gas tanks and the cabin goes up in flames. I don't know why she was so afraid of her life. Like she literally abandoned post and ran her ass off to get out of there and then decides that suicide is the best plan, but to each their own. Now the last remaining hunter finds Benji and his parents and holds them at gunpoint, and the Dad of the Year award goes to Simon as he asks Benji to give the fawn back to them. When he refuses, Bambi comes walking through the woods, skin smoking because he just got blown up, and just charges the hunter and carries him off with his antlers. Xana and Simon see the satellite phone on the ground and they start wrestling for it, and Simon wins and starts spouting some shit about not letting her ruin his life. Like, excuse me? Meanwhile, Bambi is back and facing off with Benji, and Simon just hightails it out of there. Like, he is done. It is not worth it to him. Xana then instructs Benji to just run, like, save himself. And Benji, this sweet, sweet little angel boy, says, "I'm not leaving you. I'm not like him." This boy, protect him at all costs. But this is when Xana realizes the baby deer is Bambi's baby. Okay, so the baby didn't die in that beginning animation, only the female did. Bambi, mutated Bambi, has been trying to get his baby back the entire time, which is just really sad. She very slowly picks up the baby and offers it to him. He has a little, like, really sweet moment. I really wanted this to be the end of the movie, I really did. But this asshole hunter comes out of the woods just emptying his gun into Bambi. But then Grandma just fires one round into his brain, and that's the end of him, but not before he thoroughly filled Bambi with bullets. Now we switch to Simon driving out of the woods like the cowardly crap face he is, and he stops at some point, rummaging around the back seat. When he turns back around, there's a bunny on the dashboard. This is not a decoration he remembers having in his car. And, well, the bunny gets revenge for everyone. Now, unfortunately, Bambi is full of bullets and baby Bambi is very sad. I was very sad, and it was very sad because Bambi does indeed perish. So that's the end of Bambi, The Reckoning, and I never hated the scary Bambi at all. I was like rooting for him the whole time. I just hope that baby Bambi is living a very good life, and I hope the bunnies are eating all the human intruders at their heart's desire. And yeah, that was the movie. So I think you should watch it if you haven't seen it. If you don't want to watch it, then I just summarized the entire movie for you, beginning to end. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more from me, subscribe to my channel. I am very, very new, trying to get off the ground. I am dripping sweat. I'm gonna go shower, but I love you all. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!